Welcome to another edition of Talking Hoops. We're almost to the playoffs, guys.
This is really exciting.
I know, we got the brackets now at least.
Yeah.
Still a couple weeks away. But Tim, let's just jump right into it. What's your biggest takeaway from seeing the brackets?
Well, the biggest takeaway is I look at, the Solon Euclid district with Mentor being seated all the way at 7th, but still having a pretty favorable route to get to the district finals. There's not a lot of challenges I see them going through as far as something they can't handle to possibly get back to play for district final, which would possibly be a third matchup with Shaker.
Dave?
Yeah, I would say Solon Euclid as well. Just how teams stayed away from Shaker and Garfield, especially in that bottom level of the Euclid. I mean, you've got East Tech, Cleveland Heights, Willoughby South, and Bedford, all 4 of the 8 teams essentially down there. It's pretty crazy.
I think maybe the thing that kind of stuck out to me was Brunswick choosing to go after Lorraine. We kind of talked about it last week with Lorraine and St. Ed, kind of the two clear favorites and to be the highest seeds in that region. But when you look at it, Tim, did you expect Brunswick to do this, and do you think that was the right decision?
I don't know if I expected it, but I think, when I'm looking at through, the eyes of Joe Mackey, the Brunswick coach, I think this is not a bad idea. I mean, if there's a weakness in Lorraine, it's, maybe they're not as good of a jump shooting team in the half court, and Brunswick with its zone defense will slow the game down. They'll try and keep Lorraine out of transition as much as possible. I think they feel like they match up well with Lorraine. So from that aspect alone, I think, they made the right decision.
Dave?
Yeah, Coach Mackey actually called me last night to explain himself, and he said basically he just didn't want to go against St. Edward because he thinks a strong front court is sort of Brunswick's weakness. So by playing a team like Lorraine, or even if they chose St. Ignatius, he felt like it matched up better with their personnel and they could go further and possibly win the district.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Lorraine, obviously a great season, but they haven't proven it yet in the playoffs when St. Edward, you know what you're going to get from them this time of year. All right, guys, what's the most competitive bracket? I think I kind of know where both of you are going to go. Dave?
I'm going to go with the Euclid district. It's really, really strong. I mentioned at the bottom, you've got East Tech, Cleveland Heights, you've got Bedford, Willoughby South, and then up top you got Garfield Heights, Glenville, Kenston. It's a brush. It's going to be a bear.
Definitely a lot of good teams there. Tim, any other one?
No, I think the Euclid district stands alone to me as far as, the competitiveness and the depth goes. Every round, you're at least going to get 2 great games until the district final. I don't think out of that group you're going to get one bad district final. There's just so many good teams. Now that blended district, I think, we talked about teams trying to avoid a top team. 7 of the top 10 seeds in that district stayed away from Shaker Heights. 7 out of 10 went in that district. So right there, you can tell why exactly that district is so tough.
All right, guys. Maybe not the best matchup sometimes in the first round, but what's one first-round game that kind of has your guys' attention?
I kind of like Rhodes Midview. I think that's going to be an interesting first-round matchup. I love the season Rhodes has had. They've been very strong. Midview has definitely been a team that, has been up and down, but they've been very competitive in that West Shore Conference. I believe they're in a 3-way tie for second right now in the West Shore. So if you're looking for a good first-round game to check out, that should be a good one to see.
No surprise you're going with the West Shore. We know you're
well, it's the most competitive, most entertaining conference race right now. We still got one game left to go in that.
It has been pretty exciting. I'm going to go with Kenston and Glenville. 2 teams that play very contrasting styles. Plus you have Kenston, who's a really experienced team. Glenville is a very young team. But I think that's going to be a fantastic game. And I think the winner of that might be able to get by brush and even face Garfield Heights in the district semifinal.
Definitely some opportunities for fans to go see some entertaining first games. And now let's go ahead. We'll be joined by Coach Dru Joyce of St. Vincent-St. Mary in a couple minutes. But before that, let's talk about maybe the other big game of the week, and that is Shaker Heights, St. Edward. Tim, last year when these two teams played Shaker Heights, I think that was kind of the game they really stepped on the map, if you'd say, and said, hey, we're here. Got a big win against St. Edward. What do you like in this matchup?
I like St. Ed's because I feel like, it's going to be the same question we've had about Shaker for a while. Can they find someone else to step up alongside Isamad? We saw that last week in their loss against St. V. Isamad had a big game, but nobody else really stepped up. And, that's the thing Shaker's going to have to deal with against these good teams, because they're going to either take away Isa with a double team, or they're going to do what St. V does, make someone else beat them, or make Isa beat them by himself. So they need a number 2 guy to really step up and have a big game.
Dave?
I was at both Shaker games last week, the one against St. V and then the one that they won against Garfield. And it has really been a strong showing from Isa Ahmad lately. I mean, they basically have handed him the ball, said score, get fouled. And Tim is right. They need other players to step up. They had that against Garfield. David Wright played well. Caleb Roy played well. Justin Johnson, if they continue to do that, it's going to be a really good game on Wednesday.
Very physical game last year between these two teams. Issa Ahmad had to leave for a brief moment as he was bleeding, but came back and helped get the win. And I think that'll show both teams really where they are in Division I. But really, I mean, the game of the week and maybe one of the top 2 or 3 games in high school this year will be St. Vincent-St. Mary against Villa Angela St. Joseph Saturday. Tim, we've been talking about how impressive a run St. Vincent-St. Mary's on. These two teams are pretty different, though, when you look at them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you're talking about 2 very different styles. St. V is definitely a guard-oriented team. You know, Josh Williams, Javon Graves, Henry Badley out there. They love to shoot 3. They shoot it at an extremely high rate. VASJ with Bragg and Part in the middle, and they do have a very physical guard in Brian Parker. So it's going to be interesting to see who enforces their will in the game. I mean, if St. V gets going with the 3-ball early, this could be a track meet.
All right, Dave?
I'm just really excited for the game because I think it's really a coronation of Northeast Ohio high school hoops. When you look at how much talent is in this area, and to have 2 teams in the top 10 in the country, according to Max Preps, have a showdown on a Saturday night, it's just going to be a special night in Northeast Ohio.
Should be an exciting game, and now we are joined by one of the 2 coaches in that game, Dru Joyce of St. Vincent-St. Mary. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Not too bad. Coach, you guys have obviously played some incredibly difficult games this year and been able to win all of them. Starting with Tuesday, you have Walsh-Jesuit coming up. Just talk about that game and how big a rivalry game that is, knowing how well Walsh is playing this year.
Walsh also is undefeated. Coach Norris has done a great job. They have, a good group of guys who complement each other well, and they don't have a lot of size, but neither do we. But do things very, very well with the group of guys that they do have. We talked a lot about they play with a lot of energy, a lot of effort, and so we've talked a lot about that as a team. But as you said, it's a rivalry game. So if we were both 0-18, it wouldn't matter. This game is one that the student body and the fans are going to come out, and as I said earlier, sometimes the fans, especially the student bodies, are there cheering, and they don't really care what's going on in the game. They're just having a good time and enjoying the rivalry.
Coach, you said it wouldn't matter what your records are, but considering you're both undefeated at this point, is this just the biggest game against Walsh you can remember in your experience at St. Vincent-St. Mary?
As far as record, if we want to look at it solely by record, yeah, you'd have to say that this would be the biggest, because both of us are undefeated at this point. If you want to look at it by that, I'd have to agree. At this point, our belief and the way we look at things, this is the best team on the schedule, because this is the next game, and that's the one we're going to focus on.
Coach, when you look at this game tomorrow night, obviously the things that stick out for Walsh-Jesuit are Mitch Peterson, who's having a fantastic year scoring, and how good of a defense Walsh-Jesuit is on the court. Is it fair to say that those are the 2 biggest challenges you guys have to overcome tomorrow night?
Yeah, Mitch has done a great job. He's, a guy who, he's not going to wow you with his athleticism, but his skill set is very good, and he knows how to get a shot off. We're very much aware of him, and defensively, they do a great job. They, kind of sag off of you. It looks like a kind of a zone, but it's man-to-man, and then when you get the ball in the paint, they do a great job of walling up and making you score baskets through them. So, those are, things that, we definitely have talked about and are preparing for.
All right, Coach. Obviously, Josh Williams, Jabri Bryant, 2 very, very good players. But could you talk a little about some guys who have really come on this year, such as Henry Badley and Javon Graves?
Hey, Henry's, doing what was expected of him by us. We thought that Henry showed flashes last year of the kind of player that he could be, but, there was some inconsistency. And this year he's stepped up and he's playing much more consistent. He's gotten better in the areas of his game where he's needed to get better. He's shooting the ball better. He's passing the ball better. He's always been a great rebounder and a good finisher at the rim. And defensively, he can sit down and guard smaller guys and bigger guys. So he's doing some great stuff for us. And Javon Graves is still, is young and a very exciting player. I don't think Javon even understands how good he can be. But he's done some great things for us. He has a kind of a breakout game in Indiana this year, and but he has played well earlier than in the season also. But Indiana, I think he scored 18 points in the fourth quarter and kind of helped us, when we were struggling a little bit to win the game. So. And that's what you want from guys, and that's what's been great about this team is different guys have stepped up and given us that boost, that push, that little jolt of energy when we've needed it. So we've been blessed to have that, and we're excited for those guys because when you get guys come to practice and work hard every day and you feel good about it when they get those moments in a game where they can, show, how that hard work has helped and how they can use it to help the team to win. So we go at least 9 deep, sometimes a little deeper than that, and all the guys have contributed in a big way.
Coach, you play an undefeated team on Tuesday. You play Joe's. You play them on Saturday. You played a team like St. Edward earlier in the year. What does it mean to be able to just stay in this area and play the caliber of teams that you guys get to play pretty much week in and week out?
It's been great. Our schedule has been, pretty much like this since I've been the head coach. We've always had it kind of ramped up, in years past we've won some, we've lost some. This year we're on a roll where we've won all of them so far. So, I just have believed that the regular season is to get you ready for the tournament run, and the great thing about the tournament, it doesn't matter what your record is at the end of the season, it's wiped clean. So. I just have been of the belief you want to get better, you want to get prepared, and the best way to do that is to play the best teams. If you start out the season strong with them and you finish strong with them, then when it gets to tournament time, your kids are not going to really come across anything that they haven't seen.
All right, Coach, thank you very much for taking some time to join us today, and best of luck in 2 what should be thrilling basketball games.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And I mean, when you look at that, as he said, that schedule has been loaded. They've named the teams. They've beaten everybody. When you look at this game, though, starting with Tuesday's game, Tim, what do you see as maybe St. Vincent-St. Mary's biggest advantage in this game?
I think the biggest advantage is their depth in the backcourt. I mean, you talk about this game, Mitch Peterson for Walsh, I think is going to be a difference maker. That's why, I mentioned it to Coach Joyce just a moment ago. I mean, he's had a big season, probably one of the better players, we don't talk about as much. But, I mean, he's put up big numbers. But I think with St. V, they have that depth in the backcourt. They have about 2 or 3 guys that can have a similar offensive impact to Mitch Peterson. And that's where I think they can have a real difference in that game. Is it's not going to be one guy. It's going to be multiple guys in that backcourt. And
you look at Walsh, Dave, obviously undefeated, have had a great year, but I think there's still people who really don't know how good this team is. They're in a very difficult district. For a game against St. Vincent-St. Mary, what could that do for Walsh?
Well, it can send them either way. It can give them a lot of confidence, or it can sort of set them back. Because when you play a team as talented as St. Vincent-St. Mary, they are going to kind of mess you up in a little ways, and you got to recover from that. And a lot of the good teams can recover within the game. Some of the teams, they're kind of set back a couple of games. But the key for Walsh Jesuit is they're going to have so much emotion in that building. Having a home game, rivalry game, both teams undefeated, they need to harness that emotion and not let it overcome them. They need to, from the opening tip, keep their emotions in check, make sure that they are focused on the game and not anything else that's going on with the environment around the school.
I think you bring up two really great points there, Dave. A lot of times in games like this, you see a team almost wear themselves out by the third, fourth quarter, just don't have it anymore. And really for Walsh, as big a game as it is, it's still one game, one regular season game that they have much bigger goals on that. So it will definitely be interesting to see how they handle that game. St. Vincent-St. Mary, they very, very tough week again. But let's go ahead and look at the top 25. Tim, was there a lot of shakeup this week?
The shakeup definitely at the top with some of the top 5 teams getting shuffled. St. Ed's moving up to number 3, Shaker Heights and Central Catholic dropping down a spot. And also, you go further down on the top 10, Lorraine, Walsh, Jesuit moving up at the expense of Garfield Heights. It drops a little bit. One of the bigger movers in the week was Brunswick, who went from 18 all the way up to 14 thanks to that big win against Menor, a team that kind of has been, trending downwards lately. But I think Brunswick really got the win they desperately needed to have, and the way they did it with a 27-5 second quarter against Menor, tremendous quarter. And we talked about them going up against Lorraine, how they want that matchup. Brunswick's a team that, is capable because of the way they play defense to beat almost anybody.
And you look at that, Dave, I think you guys are going to be a little more busy next week just because so many top 5 matchups. What matchup are you most intrigued for this weekend?
Well, to me, it all comes down to that St. Vincent-St. Mary, Villa-Angela, St. Joseph game, because after that game, there'll be 1 week left in the regular season. So that game really should determine our poll champion. There's still a couple things in play. I mean, obviously, St. Vincent-St. Mary has Walsh Jesuit on Tuesday. Villa-Angela, St. Joseph plays St. Edward next week, and Central Catholic. So the top teams are really all going to duke it out in the next 2 weeks here, and we're going to get what I would think would be a decisive champion at number 1.
Definitely should be exciting. I know it's not technically playoffs yet, but these matchups have state matchups, they look like. So should be another exciting week. Tune in Wednesday as we have our high school boys basketball podcast. I promise to do better and could, should, will this week. And for Tim Bielik and David Cassilo, I'm Mark Kern.